deposition of Les Wexner. It has been happening throughout the day behind closed doors at Wexner's home here in New Albany. One of the big headlines out tonight, we now have the full statement from the L Brands founder to the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. Here are some of the key passages. In the 3-page statement, Wexner said he welcomed the chance to set the record straight. Wexner says he has been the target of untrue statements and speculation, and he called himself naive and foolish for trusting Jeffrey Epstein. He expressed sympathy for Epstein's sexual abuse survivors, calling their suffering unfathomable. Wexner says he gave Epstein power of attorney in the 1980s, but he ended their relationship in 2007 after he says Epstein stole vast sums of money and months before Epstein pled guilty in Florida. As we talk about today's deposition at Wexner's home, it is important to note that Les Wexner has never been charged with a crime. Despite that, we are seeing a growing list of Ohio officials who are returning money Wexner donated to them. Here is a new list of what we have found out so far today. State Auditor Keith Faber, who is also running for Attorney General, says he is donating $15,000 of donations from Wexner to law enforcement and victims' rights charities. Ohio Treasurer Robert Sprague is also donating the money he received from Wexner. His campaign says last Thursday, Sprague, who was also a candidate for Secretary of State, donated $23,000 to Findlay Hope House. And this afternoon, we heard Attorney General Dave Yost is donating $5,000 to Grace Haven. That is a nonprofit that shelters and serves child survivors of sex trafficking. We are also hearing from Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther tonight. He has received thousands of dollars from Les Wexner, including $30,000 in just the last 2 years. His office told us they are demanding justice for the victims of Jeffrey Epstein and for the perpetrators to be held accountable. They go on to say they are watching the investigations into the Epstein files, including that congressional hearing involving Les Wexner. Ginther's campaign notes so far Wexner has not been charged with a crime. This afternoon, protesters held a demonstration outside Senator John Husted's office in downtown Columbus. He is one of the many lawmakers who took donations for their campaign from Les Wexner. Husted received $3,500 last year and more than $15,000 in 2023. Husted says he will donate Wexner campaign funds, but protesters say they do not trust Husted's motive.
And what that tells me is he's untrustworthy. He is, he is looking out for his own self-interest. He's up for re-election this year, and so I do not trust his motives, and he's not identified where that is coming from, or where that's going to go, rather.
Husted was asked last week on whether it was appropriate to continue receiving that money. The senator responded saying, quote, "I voted to make the Epstein files public, so I wanted to make them transparent. I've always wanted to protect the innocent victims." House Democrats also say they have more questions regarding an Ohio State doctor who was named in the Epstein files. Dr. Mark Landon's name repeatedly appeared in the documents. He is an OBGYN at Wexner Medical Center at OSU. In the files, there are FedEx invoices for deliveries made to Landon between July 2001 and 2004. There's also a memo from Epstein saying a $25,000 quarterly payment was due to Landon. Democrats claim that money actually came from Wexner, but Democrats also say he told them today he did not have any knowledge of those payments.
There are reports of payments that were made to a gynecologist at Ohio State University, and that money went through Jeffrey Epstein but came from Les Wexner. And he has been asked about this with no real response, no recollection.
Democrats say it is inconceivable that Wexner could not trace millions of dollars leaving his account. Dr. Landon released this statement through OSU Wexner Medical Center weeks ago when those files were initially released. He says, "I did not provide any clinical care for Jeffrey Epstein or any of his victims. I was a paid consultant for the New York Strategy Group regarding potential biotech investments from 2001 to 2005. I had no knowledge of any criminal activities. I find them reprehensible and feel terrible for Epstein's victims." We do know that deposition at Wexner's home lasted several hours today. Our team coverage on that deposition continues tonight at 6, including new details on why lawmakers say they are still frustrated after all of that talking today.
So much of his wealth to the largest modern sex trafficking ring in American history.
Happening right now at 6, questions but not a lot of answers in New Albany. Ohio's richest man sitting down before Congress. We're on your side with his side of the story and why members of Congress are not buying it. That meeting with U.S. lawmakers lasted several hours. They spoke with Wexner about his ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight at 6. I'm Rodney Dunnigan.
I'm Jessica Ralston. We are on your side with live team coverage tonight. Lisa Ronsula, following the money. Tom Bosco breaking down the growing criticism from Democrats. But first tonight,
we do want to start with Mike McCarthy with that statement that Wexner just released himself. What do you say, Mike?
So, Rodney, here is that statement right here, 3 pages in length, written for members of the House Oversight Committee. Tonight, we are working to verify how long this deposition lasted. We know it started this morning and continued into the afternoon at Wexner's estate right here in New Albany. During a break this afternoon, Democrat lawmakers described the 88-year-old as a competent witness, but they say they did not believe what they were being told. It's a deposition disagreement. Les Wexner maintaining he knew nothing about the crimes of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. But Democratic lawmakers, including ranking member of the House Oversight Committee Robert Garcia, criticized and questioned that claim.
There is no single person that was more involved in providing Jeffrey Epstein with the financial support to commit his crimes than Les Wexner.
Garcia says they know of at least $1 billion Wexner gave Epstein. But in a written statement to the committee, Wexner says he was conned by his personal financial manager, saying I was naive, foolish, and gullible to put any trust in Jeffrey Epstein. Garcia believes Wexner was trying to downplay the closeness of their relationship over roughly 2 decades.
We should be very clear that there would be no Epstein Island, there would be no Epstein plane, there would be no money to traffic women and girls. Mr. Epstein would not be the wealthy man he was without the support of Les Wexner.
Wexner told the committee he was never on Epstein's plane and visited the island only once during a family cruise on their boat, which was addressed during the committee's questioning.
He claimed that he was on the island for 1 hour and that he walked around with his family, and I asked him if any other individuals were there and he said no.
In 2007, Wexner says it was discovered Epstein stole vast sums of his family's money, and he cut ties with him months before Epstein pled guilty to soliciting prostitution in Florida. He told the committee, what is so clear only now is that Epstein lived a double life, and at no time did I ever witness the side of Epstein's life for which he is now infamous.
I can basically say that he has basically alleged that he saw no evil, heard no evil, despite being in the room with Jeffrey Epstein over and over and over. And it's really just not credible. I realize he's an elderly gentleman, memories fade, but the reputation of Jeffrey Epstein is very clear.
Democratic lawmakers say their investigation is very much far from over. I did ask to speak directly with Les Wexner today, but his attorney told me he would not be available. And after we heard from those lawmakers at that news conference, I again contacted Wexner's attorney asking if he had any response to what those lawmakers had to say. So far, I have not yet heard back tonight. There are 50 members of the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. Only 5 of them, all Democrats, made the trip here to New Albany to see Wexner testify in person. They are right now on your screen. Tom Bosco continues our team coverage tonight on your side, working to get answers about why our local lawmakers did not show up.
5 Democratic members of the House Oversight Committee came to New Albany today to question Les Wexner. They say they were shocked that not one of their Republican counterparts showed up.
It is very frustrating the fact that there are no Republicans here today.
The House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform is made up of 25 Republicans and 25 Democrats. On Wednesday, not one Republican showed up to question Les Wexner about his connections to Jeffrey Epstein.
Representative Garcia,
When you said there are no Republicans here, you didn't just mean at this press conference. There are no Republicans.
No, there are no Republican members of Congress
at this deposition.
Yes. Right. There are Republican staff members, no Republican members of Congress chose to come.
The committee subpoenaed Wexner last month and then negotiated to have the deposition taken not in Washington, D.C., but at Wexner's estate in New Albany. We have been asking for days who would be here for the deposition. That committee includes 2 Ohio Republicans, Mike Turner and Jim Jordan. We've been reaching out to the staff for both lawmakers, asking them if Turner or Jordan would attend. We never got an answer. We asked them again today why they did not attend. Still no answer. As for the committee chairman, James Comer, we learned today that Comer couldn't make it because he had previously scheduled oral surgery. Democrats who did make the trip say they are frustrated.
I wish there were Republicans because sex trafficking should not be a D versus R issue. It should be a bipartisan issue. Everybody should be invested in finding the truth right now.
On your side, in New Albany, I'm Tom Bosco, ABC 6 News.
And as we hear from those Democratic lawmakers, we do want to remind you that Les Wexner has not been charged with any crime. Still, some politicians are distancing themselves from donations Wexner made to their campaigns. ABC 6 On Your Side investigator Lisa Rontola is following the money tonight, looking through campaign finance reports, Lisa, to find out who received those Wexner checks and for how much.
That's right, Mike. I can tell you I am standing by live, right here live inside Wexner Community Park in New Albany after I spent the day researching campaign contributions made by Les Wexner. I researched local databases, county databases, state databases, and federal databases spanning over the last 5 years. I noted which politicians did receive those Wexner checks and for how much. Let's start with Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther. Since 2021, records show he's taken more than $40,000 from Les Wexner. At this point, the mayor has not said if he'll be giving that money back. Next, Columbus City Attorney Zach Klein. I found he has received $20,000 in campaign contributions. Again, Klein has not announced if he's giving that money back. John Houston received $3,500 last year from Wexner and more than $15,000 in 2023. Here's who have committed to donating their own Leslie Wexner campaign contributions. Treasurer Robert Sprague, who received nearly $20,000. Auditor Keith Faber, who received $15,000, and Attorney General David Yost, who received $5,000. Here, who has yet to respond. Ohio State Representative Matt Huffman, who received $10,000 from Leslie Wexner when he was the Senate president at the State House. Frank LaRose, who received $7,500. Frank LaRose is now running for auditor. And Senator Rob McCauley, who received $5,000, and it is the current Senate president at the State House. Also, Representative Brian Stewart, who chairs the House Finance Committee at the State House. Stewart received a $5,000 contribution last year. And paired with many of Leslie Wexner's campaign contributions were contributions made by his wife, Abigail Wexner. I have not included Abigail's contributions in my tallies today. Reporting live from New Albany, I'm Lisa Rontola for ABC 6 News.
A lot of money to follow there, Lisa. Thank you very much. Tonight, there is a growing push to wipe Wexner's name from buildings and parks like the one where we just saw Lisa. Some of those buildings include the Wexner Center for the Arts and the Wexner Medical Center at OSU, along with the Les Wexner Football Complex at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center, along with the Wexner Community Park in New Albany, where Lisa was live. An OSU spokesman told us they have procedures for name reviews and there are pending requests related to Wexner. New Albany Parks and Rec says name changes are proposed and approved by board members, and so far there's not been any discussions at any monthly board meetings. There are many angles to Jeffrey Epstein's ties to Central Ohio and to Les Wexner. We are continuing to track the very latest information, so be sure to stick with us as we uncover new details. We have many requests out tonight, including one for the transcript from today's deposition. We'll be watching for that, and we'll keep you updated. For now, though, let's get back to the studio and Jessica and Rodney.
All right, thank you, Mike. Great work out there tonight. And remember, when we are not on air, you can get the latest updates on the ABC6 app, including the extensive reporting on Les Wexner and Jeffrey Epstein's ties. It is free. Just search WSYX ABC6 in your app store.